So, here we are. So this is my idea for my Sonic movie Rush idea. So this would be the introduction to Blaze the Cat and Soul Eggman. I'm not calling him by his actual name, by the way. And yeah, so this will be a really kind of interesting idea. This would kind of be I suppose, maybe series or movie. I don't really know which one it would be, but yeah, let's dive into it, shall we? Our story begins with Sonic zooming around Green Hills, doing a sort of, suppose you could say, grocery list for Tom and Maddie, looking over all the items he has to get. And he heads to Tails, who Tails has revealed that he's managed to work on a special type of warp ring that would be able to allow them to travel to other dimensions. And Sonic is quite amazed at this, but isn't that similar to a regular ring? But Tails says this one's a very special ring, as it's a charged up ring. And he uses the power of the Chaos Emeralds, thanks to Knuckles, who Knuckles is not thrilled with considering that it also involves the Master Emerald, and as they plug it in, Tails turns on the machine and it opens a portal to an alternate dimension with a castle. As Sonic and Tails enter on in, the portal shuts behind them, leaving Knuckles and Amy behind. And as Tails and Sonic look around, they see the castle and they're surprised. Maybe it's in the medieval times, or maybe someone lives there. And that they're also surrounded by humans and other animals. They coexist with anthropomorphic animals, like them, or aliens. And Sonic likes the look of this place, saying that while it may not be Earth, it looks pretty similar to how Earth is. And Tails is remarkably amazed at the architecture and the use of technology. However, a massive tank that looks similar to the one Robotnik used came driving in and surrounded Sonic and Tails. Just then a bunch of Badniks also surround the two, as Soul Eggman appears, with Sonic confusing Eggman, telling him that how did he get here, and that why is he wearing yellow and black and red, to which, well, the Soul Eggman is a bit confused on why he called him that, as he has not been referred to as Robotnik for over a decade, and he is known as Eggman here. Just as he's about to destroy Sonic, a fiery cat appears and manages to burn through all of his Badniks and destroy all of his invasion plans. She tells him that he won't come here to get the last emerald, the last Soul Emerald. And, well, she throws a fireball hitting Eggman's truck. Eggman decides to end up driving off and retreating. Sonic is a little shocked as this mysterious fire cat throws a fireball at Sonic, who dodges. She asks who he is and how did he get here. Sonic says that his name is Sonic and this is Tails. They stumbled upon here because of some dimensional portal which his friend invented. Tails says that he invented it and they found this place. And Blaze then asks if they're trying to steal the Soul Emeralds. And she tries throwing fireballs at them, calling them out thieves. But she eventually calms down. A after realizing that Sonic and Tails are actually not wanting to steal the emeralds. Meanwhile, back with Soul Eggman, he would be wandering back towards his base with some of his other, machines, and he would enter on in. As he exits out of his truck, which gets some automatic repairs by some Badniks, he heads towards his main lab area, overlooking everything before preparing his big, massive weapon, before realizing that there might be a way to escape his dimension. Back with Blaze, she asks where did they come from, and Sonic replies saying that they came from a world similar to hers, just a little different. And Blaze asks how different. And Tails says that there's cars everywhere, and it's mostly filled with humans, but the animals are not. It's very similar to your world. Meanwhile, back on Earth with Amy and Knuckles, they try to get the machine working. In fact, actually, Amy thinks she can get it working. She wants to make sure that Sonic is safe, as well as Tails. But Knuckles is getting impatient thanks to using the Master Emerald, and he ends up smashing the machine by accident. Back with Sonic, him and Blaze decide to race onwards to locate the Soul Emeralds. Blaze explains a long time ago that she was fighting, Eggman for control of the Soul Emeralds, powerful gems that can help the world. And Eggman managed to acquire, the others, but Blaze managed to grab the last one and has hid it in a special location where Soul Eggman does not know where it is. That's why he's after her. And Blaze is also a princess of this realm, as she shows Sonic and Tails around her castle, meeting all of her subjects and guards. Back with, Soul Eggman, he would be looking at the remaining Soul Emeralds which he has in his possession. They would be floating in a glass chamber as he looks around at them, examining their power, and figuring out how to harness it and use it. Just then, one of his Badniks walks in through the door. A pirate-like Badnik, along with a crew of other pirate Badniks. And that would be Captain Whiskers, who would mention that he's got a bit of a he mentions how did he find anything useful when coming back. Whiskers tells him that no, and that the seas are still belonging to him, but they had to deal with an annoying raccoon who just would not leave them alone. But they're free now. Soul Eggman is glad at that, and he gives them a new directive. He wants them to go after Blaze the Cat and this blue hedgehog and fox, to make sure to follow them and to get the last Soul Emerald, as Soul Eggman reveals that he needs all of them in order to rise up his portal to escape this wretched world, and to enter the real world and cause a new conquest. Dimensional conquest, as he calls it. Captain Whiskers agrees, and goes by his boss's orders, as he calls on his crew and they exit out. Just as they exit, Metal Sonic 3.0 appears. Soul Eggman says it's good to see him, and 3.0, by the way, talks, because he's a different version of Metal Sonic. He begins to mention on how the power levels of the Soul Emeralds, he's been scanning them and taking them in. it seems that they're very powerful and could work in his favour. Soul Eggman asks, "Do you think?" To which 3.0 asks, "Yes, the power levels are beyond expectations. The conquest you lead should happen, and will not be a failure." Soul Eggman tells him that he's staying with him since Whiskers is going after the blue hedgehog as well as Blaze. 3.0 asks why doesn't he just go after Blaze since he's a superior Badnik and Whiskers is more of a run-down one. To which Soul Eggman replies saying that that's not really much of a concern if he goes out there. He's saving him for Blaze. 3.0 mentions that he also has a beef with Blaze and that he wants his revenge against her. And Soul Eggman kneels down and says that all good things come to those who wait, especially when it comes to revenge. Back with Sonic and Blaze, the two of them would be talking while on a boat sailing across the ocean. Blaze would mention what's it like and she would be quite interested in Sonic's world, as well as learning that Sonic himself is quite a powerful ally to have, as well as Tails, who's a quite good genius. Blaze mentions about someone named Marine, her friend, who might be interested in helping them, but she hasn't seen them. And just when they're about to talk a bit more about it, Tails mentions that he's been managing to track where this temple is. Blaze mentions that with her powers, she can locate it very easily. They'll have to go past the massive rock mountains. Just then, Captain Whiskers jumps on board the ship and pirates begin to invade. Whiskers mentions that of course she would tell them. Whiskers then pulls out a mighty powerful sword and his arm transforms into a massive cannon gun, firing, crushing one of the bits of the ship. And with that going on, Whiskers would fight Blaze, as well as Sonic, who would be running around the ship battling the pirates, who use some very special designs. Whiskers is taken off and he blasts off, escaping the group. And just then, Whiskers orders some of his crew, their heads pop off and they turn into missiles, blowing up the ship, causing Sonic, Tails and Blaze to fall into the ocean. But luckily they managed to be saved thanks to Tails. Back at base, Eggman asks about Blaze and Sonic, and Whiskers replies that they are history. The ship was blown up and the crew are managed to be fine, as more and more of Whiskers' crew enter the scene. But they unfortunately could not find the Soul Emerald. Soul Eggman is disappointed in Whiskers, but at least Blaze is out of the way. Meanwhile, back with Blaze and Sonic, as they manage to get inside the temple outside of the beach, Sonic asks who is that guy, and Blaze replies that was Captain Whiskers, a notorious pirate who's created by Eggman, and he would constantly attack Blaze and rule the seas. He's also known for being a coward, running away from a real fight, and he would often get away. And Tails is amazed that there's robot pirates. Just then they are all surrounded by Captain Whiskers' pirate crew, some massive Bebop robots, as well as Eggman with Metal Sonic 3.0, as they manage to acquire the final Soul Emerald. And they pick it up into the air. Blaze and Sonic, as well as Tails, fight off the remaining Badniks, crushing them instantly. Sonic dashes into them using the spin dash. Blaze manages to use their fire powers to burn them through. And Tails uses the tail swipe move to crush Badniks and destroy them once and for all. Things seem to be going well in their favour until Eggman launches a missile out that manages to crush parts of the temple. With that done, his B-bots begin firing down, launching powerful missiles, crushing everything in its sight. As Metal Sonic 3.0 comes in and fights off Blaze and Sonic at the same time. With the final Soul Emerald added in, the energy of it begins to charge up and up and up, building its power before immersing so much energy. Sonic and Blaze, they end up taking cover as a blast of light opens up and a portal appears, with Eggman flying on through into the portal with his Badniks following after him. As Captain Whiskers follows after him. Soul Eggman and his crew would appear out of the portal. Eggman would look at how disgusting the planet looks before blasting off with his crew. Knuckles and Amy would be watching this, confused at what's going on, before Sonic, Blaze and Tails emerge out. Amy is glad that Sonic is safe before asking who is this. Blaze introduces herself, and they all become acquainted. But Tails mentions that the bad news is that there's a new Eggman out there, and he's causing destruction. And as the group begin to think on what they could do to take down this new Eggman, they try to think, as their ideas are not particularly amazing. They begin to think on how maybe they could trick him, and maybe they could know what his plan is. Knuckles, however, just wants to smash things and doesn't want to let the Master Emerald get into the wrong hands, believing that he could be after that kind of power. But they all decide that they go and face off against Soul Eggman. Sonic and Blaze decide to divert Soul Eggman's attention since he is going to be focused on them in particular. And they begin to run towards, well, where he is. And they manage to see that he's been working on a big massive mech that he pulled out of the portal. Just then, Metal Sonic 3.0 comes slicing in, racing on foot, before kicking them aside, and as they fight them off, luckily, Sonic manages to beat him, kicking him into a power plant, electrocuting him. And Tails and Knuckles would take out Soul Eggman's mech, which it looks very similar to what Dr. Robotnik used in the Sonic movie 2, but it's, well, Soul Eggman's version of it. It has some changes, like a massive wrecking ball referencing to the first Sonic game, as well as a massive blade. However, the group managed to destroy the mech, causing it to depower, which it was running on the Soul Emeralds. And with the Soul Emeralds out, Burning Blaze appears and destroys the mech, crushing it completely. The group managed to successfully win, celebrating while they do. However, they begin to look around in the wreckage asking, where's Tails? Where did he go? However, they notice Tails managed to rescue, well, Soul Eggman. Blaze mentions that he's in a lot of trouble, to which, of course, he mentions he is, as he realises he has no other, well, minions. Blaze orders her guards to arrest him, and to take him away, take him to prison, to which Soul Eggman declares that this isn't the last they've heard of him, and that he will return for revenge. The group begin to celebrate, but Blaze mentions that they can come to her world anytime they want, and Sonic says the same thing to Blaze, that they're welcome. She's welcome anytime to join him on an adventure, or to, well, just hang out as friends. And Blaze smiles at this before jumping into the portal back to her world. And with that, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles and Amy begin to celebrate the summer. And that would be the end of the kind of idea, but there would be a really interesting post-credits scene. We would see Metal Sonic 3.0, where he could be rebooted up. After the power surge, he would begin to look confused all around, wandering through a forest. While scanning the area, it seems that not only did Soul Eggman forget about him, but the portal's shut and he's stuck on Earth, without a way of getting back to his home. And he's breaking into a government property. Just as he's about to look around, a blast from a cannon fires, destroying a massive boulder, which he managed to avoid. He then begins to fight off the massive cannons and destroy them completely, crushing them, ripping them apart and slamming them, reducing them to meat. Just as he's about to attack, a group of Metal Sonics appear, surrounding him, with the main one being, of course, the main Metal Sonic. 3.0 asks who are they, but they don't respond, and he's a bit uneased about all of this, confused, and, well, and here we would see Metal offering a hand out of partnership.